let's take a look at the remainder of our summer challenge. So, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, if you go to the previous video, you can see part 1 of the summer challenge. The summer challenge was a book cover design challenge. The design was to base it off the narrative that I wrote and posted it to the Reddit. So if you want to be a part of Critique Hour challenges, community challenges, really, really fun, amazing, always festive and narrative driven, design driven, fun challenges. It's all about the fun. I've never really held a form study challenge, you know? It's always fun, full of color. It's just wherever we lose in fun when it comes to form studies and grayscale and 14-day challenge, we make up for it with the community challenges, which are always narrative driven, always color driven, always full of resource packs and inspiration and just all shapes and colors. We've done challenges for Christmas. We've done villain design challenges. We've done weird post-apocalyptic character design splashes. You guys can just look at the playlist and you'll be able to see the history of challenges we have. So if you want to take a look at that playlist, go to istebrak.com, go to the YouTube thingamabob, and I'm just going to try to find the playlist for you. Okay, so the playlist is right here. Where is it? Yeah, don't look at my my music. Where are you? Community Design Challenge History. So let's just do a quick little skim through the types of challenges we've done in the past. So Luminous and Elemental, hella fun. God, this was one of my favorite ones. You guys, the shit you posted was so amazing. And then we have the Harvest Goddess from last year. This was our September design challenge. I think this was part 2. Oh no. You guys posted some of the most amazing designs I've ever seen. And then this one is a combo of both, because I think both were due around the same time. And then we had the Halloween challenge, character designs, shapes, gestures, and animation. This was really, really cool. So you guys had to reinvent the typical basic lineup of Halloween characters and just reinvent them. Love this one. Switch the pelvic bone with the skull. It's so funny. It just keeps going. This one was the... this was the Santa battle. So Dark Santa and Good Santa, final holiday challenge critique, and we can just go all the way back to the past where we've got design, anatomy, and gesture, which was the floral humanoids. That was really, really cool. So if you guys haven't seen these, you really need to go into the playlist and have a look. 2017 challenge submissions. I don't think this was the first one we've had. I think there was more villain designs. I just didn't put them into the playlist or backtrack far enough. But yeah, like, I'm just amazed right now. We've just had so much fun. This was a long time ago. This was the Sword Dancer. So you had, again, a narrative description, and then you guys had to design based off that description. You guys remember this background? Remember Windows 7? Is this Windows 7? But yeah, go into that playlist. So it's the Community Design Challenge History playlist. You guys can find it on my channel if you go to the little playlist icon. Excuse me. And then if you want to join the Reddit community, which is where we post, so we've moved across communities. We've had Google Plus, and before Google Plus, what did we use before Google Plus? We used something. What was it? There was something we used before Google Plus. Was it Skype? No, I forget. Oh my god. Yeah, now we're working on Reddit. Join us on Reddit. This is where you'll find pinned at the top the next challenge. I will write it down as soon as I find some time. Today I will write it down for you guys and post it, which is the creature design. If you guys watched the last couple critique hours, last 4, I've talked about it. It's a Halloween creature design challenge. Should be fun. And if you want to support me on Patreon, you can do so. We've been doing this for a really, really long time, and we want to stay independent. So if you want to help support, you guys can even join as $1 a month patron, meaning that it's not going to cost you more than $12 a year to support this channel. And if everyone joined, then it really would stay independent for a really, really long time. I hope that, you know, you're in a financial position where $1 is not too much of it can. Sometimes it's bus fare, sometimes it's $1 over your budget, and I completely understand. But for those who have that kind of leniency, if you could send some support our way, it would be greatly appreciated. And then finally, please remember to vote. There is a monster in our administration who has destroyed the American way, and we want to fix that. It's damage control. It's not about politics anymore, because we're not talking about a politician. We're talking about a monster who is trying to ruin everyone's life. And the people who support him have this sick mentality that he is this underdog guy who's been mistreated, who's been, you know, this guy who needs to be, you know, we need to feel sorry for. And his supporters are basically preparing each other by saying, oh, they're going to say this about him and they're going to say this about him, so be prepared. You know, they're going to call Trump a this and a that, so be prepared for that. No, the reason why people call Trump a bigot and a racist and a liar is because he is a bigot and a racist and a liar, and this country needs to be saved. We are living in a historical time. We've got 30 days or a little bit more left to change American history. What's happening is unprecedented, and not to vote is to vote for Trump. If you're on the fence and you're not voting, you're basically throwing your vote to Trump, because we need to win with a landslide. We need to create an environment where 4 years from now, most or all of the damage he has caused has been fixed, and hopefully there is a positive capital as well. We have even more improvement, that the damage he caused to this country opened roads for new change. Some of the small changes that we've seen are that everyone sees that we can work from home now, as I do. Classes can be run from home, as I do. People need more help. Paying rent and barely making it is not a way of life. And minimum wage and the way that people not being able to afford health care and all of that. Coronavirus has revealed that all of that is serious issues, and without coronavirus, it's not to say that it's a good thing, but there's a silver lining. It's revealed all of that to us. Unfortunately, we didn't have to go through this ravaging 8 months, but we had to, and it's time to move forward. It's time to make positive choices for the future. It's time to grow the fuck up and not carry around the opinions of your parents. It's time to grow a pair and make a decision for your future, because you share this world with everyone else. It's time to have some courage. It's time to deal with this situation the only way you can in a democracy, and that is by voting, and voting aggressively, and making sure that your vote is counted, because it is incredibly important. At this point in our history, it reveals who you are based off who you vote for. A long time ago, it was a lot more gray area. It was a lot more mixed, but now we're polarized so extremely, to the point where I can here stand in front of you and say, if you vote for Trump, I don't want to know you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to know the kind of person you are. I don't want to have the aftertaste of your willful ignorance in the air around me. I don't want to know what kind of things you're into. I don't care about your personality. I don't care about your choices in life. I could care less about your future. If you're the type of person who willfully chooses to believe that a man like that is good, not can be good, everyone can be good, but is good as he is right now, I don't want to know who you are. I wish that I never made videos for free just so that you don't improve from my classes. I wish that I never sent any kind of video out. If Trump supporters, despite all of the proof that has come out, have benefited from my channel. If you're a Trump supporter, you will never be my friend. I will never be your friend. I will never talk to you. I don't want to know who you are or the kind of person that you are. If you're a Trump supporter, you are a very, very small group within a small group within a small group of people. And I'm putting this in my recording on purpose. I want everyone to know where I stand in this moment in history. I don't care about Biden. I don't care what he's done. All I care about is Trump. He's my enemy. I came to the United States. I immigrated here and I pay mad taxes. My savings are gouged every single fucking year, but I'm okay with it because it goes somewhere. But after discovering all this new stuff, thing after thing after thing, corruption after hypocrisy after lie, I am at the point where I can say, if you support Trump, you are my enemy as well. So get off this stream, close my video. I don't want to know you. I don't want to talk to you. You are disgusting to me. You are deplorable to me. You are a bottom feeder to me, because after all the proof, objective, scientific, out there, people, person after person, aid after aid has come out and told you this guy is a monster, he's manipulated people, and you still don't believe him, then I hope one day he manipulates you directly after he stole your vote from you. Even then, I hope he manipulates you personally so that you can taste what it means to be on the side of the villain, so that you can finally learn your lesson. You idiot, you imbecile, you're wasting your vote. Whoever votes for him, I'm taking this moment, these 10 minutes to talk about it. You are an asshole in history, and instead of being on the right side of history, you've chosen willfully to be on the wrong side. So get off my video, get off my channel. I don't want to know you. I never want to get to know you. All right. Just take a moment. All right. So I'm looking at this piece, and during my rant, I could already start critiquing it. Because I was critiquing it as I was going. And I could see some of the major issues here, but excuse me, I just had a drink of water really fast. The concept behind the book cover challenge was that it was a snake emerging from a 2D painting into a 3D painting, into a 3D, obviously a 3D structure. So what you did here is that you cast the shadow. See this little thing right here? You cast the shadow coming right off the tangent of the snout of the snake, or whatever the biological or term is for that, zoological term for that is. So that's a problem, because what you've done is you've basically said that this is the surface. So what's happening is that this is the snake's head, right? And you cast the shadow this way. This would be right if the snake was emerging out. But what's happening is that you've got the snake coming over this position, this general square. So imagine this red square is this red square, right? So the snake is hovering on top. If the snake is above this position, so see, this is how high it is above this red little paper. That means the cast shadow will also be away from. Why would the cast shadow be rooted with the snake if the snake is not even touching the ground? So if this square right here, excuse me, I'm just in that time of day where I just ate really fast before class and I'm really burpy, and you're just gonna have to get used to it. I'm one of those teachers that just burps all day. So we have a floating cube, and that's basically the same equivalent as the snake floating. So because the light's coming from the side, this new shadow, because the light has moved, so let me color code it. This shadow right here is offset. So this is the exact same situation we've got here. The snake is above the painting as you've done here, but you've rooted the cast shadow. So this means do some form studies, because when you paint form studies, you enter this mindset where you start seeing, instead of a table with flat pictures on it, as if that's your metaphor for your visual library, you start seeing a table with three-dimensional shapes on it. So you start thinking about things from a different angle, and then you make better choices with your cast shadows. So we've got offset cast shadow. All right. And what I can do basically really quickly is something like that, just to show you the shadow of the snake and what I mean. Because I don't want to go any darker than this valley, so I kind of gotta do that. Okay, so we've got this. Let me try to do it like that. Okay, and then I'll blur it. So, do you guys see what I mean with the cast shadow? Is everybody on board? Does anybody have any questions? So because there's only so many pieces to look at today, I'm kind of just taking my time to teach you guys like the form study version of what it is I'm critiquing. I'm not just going to zip through it like I did for the last session, because that was a lot of pieces to go through. Okay, so before, after. So we're limiting where that cast shadow is. And then if, you know, if the light is really coming from the side, this cast shadow will go all the way over here. Like that. It'll eventually come down again and be rooted with and attached back to the snake. It's actually going to do something like that. Okay, but if it's a window and that's the shadow cast into the dust, I think the original would be better. No, because the painting is based off what I've written in the story. This is not a window. This is a painting. I did not write there's a snake coming out of the painting, out of a window. I said there's a snake coming out of a painting. And then we've got green everywhere for some reason. So you've got like green. I don't think that's the reflection of the green of the snake on the painting itself. I think you're kind of trying to throw ambient shadows everywhere. Just have the courage to just throw in an edge where you need it. All right, so I'm just throwing in some basic light. Because it's dinner time. Critique hour is always at dinner time, so I have to eat in order to be able to go to the gym. Why am I telling you guys this? I don't know. I just feel like chatting. I'm just feeling chatty. Alright, so I'm just gonna try to also do the same thing, and it's just about bringing out the three-dimensional in the piece. Alright, and I'm gonna bring in some dodge tool just on this side. That was really the biggest issue I had with this, and with a lot of them, is that you guys were not really showing off how the cast shadow is your best friend here to show an object that is flat merging into or coming into the three-dimensional world. So please make sure that you do your form studies, because this is basically a cool form study challenge. You know, draw an object that is flat that's slowly turning three-dimensional. That's a wonderful form study challenge. So for those who don't have an idea how to, you know, get started on these challenges, turn it into a form study. So can anyone answer what I mean when I say turn the painting into a form study? What does that mean? I mean, I could sit here and explain it, but I like when you guys explain stuff. So can anyone tell me what I mean when I say turn the painting into a form study? All right, so I think there would be a bit of space in between. Yes, it's open to all skill levels. Could you make some comments about composition and how to put together something visually appealing from a photography perspective? That is a whole video in and of itself. Again, these are just quick critiques per painting for the challenge, just so I could show off what my students posted. Full lesson on composition. I've done thousands of videos, not thousands, but I like to say that. I've spent thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands of hours talking about composition and framing. I've talked about it before: line of sight, guiding the eye, framing. You guys can just Google that. Not Google that. What do I say? Why do I say Google that? Search that on my YouTube history. So again, go to my channel, go to the little search bar, or go to videos and then go to search bar and then write down the keyword. I name all my videos based off the topic that I covered on purpose so that you guys can easily search them up. If you search up the word composition, framing, you'll be able to catch what, find what it is that you need. So what is everyone saying about what it means to turn a painting into a form study? Take the chance to turn every piece into a learning opportunity. Excellent. Treating your painting with the appropriate fundamentals to show an environment that obeys light and mass. Grayscale, basic shapes, core shadows, blocking. Can you elaborate, Roberto? What do you mean by that? Break down complex forms into simple ones. Good, good. I like that. That's where Roberto should be going with that. But yes, by using grayscale, so to use Roberto's answer as well. Breaking down complex forms into simple shapes, simple ones by grayscaling the painting, turning the complex shapes into basic shapes, thinking about core shadows in the light direction, and blocking. So you could easily assume this snake was just a cylinder, lift it slightly off the surface and practice it. Every painting is a learning opportunity, which is a great way to reveal to yourself what you have left. That's one good thing about trying masterpieces. The one good thing is it shows you how much of a noob you are and how much you've got left to work on. So please, please go for that. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I just remembered to mention it last time, is a lot of people praise me for my starkness. A lot of people praise me for the fact that I kind of don't tiptoe around the truth, and then all of a sudden they have a problem with me talking about politics on my channel and not tiptoeing around the truth. And you can't pick and choose that what it is that you admire about someone like that. You can't really ask, I don't know what, let's make up another saying. You can't ask for one side of a leaf. You know what I'm saying? You get the other side with it too, okay? So that's if you're here because of my ability to tell you the truth, you should be able to trust me when I tell you, where we're having issues and where my critiques are for the general world. What I've discovered in my research, where I stand right now in the political climate, and what my thoughts are. So that I'm here for your education, and if I'm not educating you on the corruption that is surrounding us, that is affecting me, your teacher, affecting you, the student, then at this point, can you even trust me when I critique you? Good point, huh? So make sure that you take a moment to think about that. Just a nice, pain-free moment to think about that. No extra other people's voices in your head, just your own critical thinking and coming to a nice logical conclusion. And watch the next debate. Educate yourself. World events. There's a saying in Islam, there's no reason why you should be talking during the sermon of a sheikh. So obviously, you guys, I'm not trying to teach you about Islam, but I love that, and I've kind of removed myself from the practice of it. I don't really refer to myself as a religious Muslim in any way. I believe in God, but I'm not practicing the hijab or anything anymore. So there's a saying, and the saying goes, you can interrupt the sheikh for one reason, which is basically interrupt the pastor, Christian like equivalent, if anyone doesn't know what a sheikh is, and that's to discuss world events. And that is the best quote I've ever heard, and that's something I take with me everywhere, even though I hated mosque life and all of that. That's one thing I took with me. You can't interrupt a sermon other than for world events, because the world events are directly correlated, link back to you and your well-being and your welfare. Okay? So you can interrupt me if you want to talk about GH. The modern day monster. And then I'm going to bring in some of that blue that you've got here just in the foreground, because I really want to separate. So I added those dark values here. I really want to separate what's happening. I probably should select that middle foreground. You see how this is middle foreground, immediate foreground? And I want to just kind of show where that comes in. So because you've got a title running across the middle, you do have a need to darken the space behind it. You can't really just, because I can't go in there and edit every letter. So you can't really just throw in a white value over a dark part of a white value over a light part of the painting. You need to throw that on the dark part. And considering where we were after my critique last time, this painter here, this artist they got it all right. They got everything right. The character is symmetrical in the foreground, the painting, the snake is emerging out of it. They got all the foliage. And apart from the cast shadow, they also managed to make it look like the snake really is the biggest part of the painting. If this was a contest, this would be the winner. They have it all. And not just because this is exactly what I envisioned, but because it's better than what I envisioned. And it's kind of like giving me a real look into what it is that I wrote, which is something a lot of writers experience when they hire artists for book covers. One of the best compliments I got when working with book covers was, I didn't even imagine it this good. You brought it to life in ways I didn't imagine it could. And I think that's the best compliment an artist could achieve working with book covers. Okay, now Photoshop is being a hoe, so apparently. Alright, so I'm just going to just delete that here. I think I'm going to delete the cast shadow as well. And that's just because I really need to complete that train of light that's moving across the painting. And then by doing that, I can now darken. And you already had everything I was gonna recommend. And I'm gonna darken on either half. Just like that. So it's small little corrections that have maintained your style, but pushed forward and completed the illustration, so to speak. So because it looks a little bit washed out, I'm going to try to kind of add some vibrance through kind of boosting the, there we go. Just something like that. Boosting the contrast a bit. Oh, come on. What is that? Why is it? Sometimes sometimes it goes into edit and I'm just not, that's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to use eraser. See, like I'm trying to click on E to erase and it just does that instead. I wonder why it's doing that. That is unbelievable. Well, I'm just going to leave it as is. So 2 small environmental changes, which is the light and the shadow. You need to darken the space around the Serpent's Call font and the cast shadow of the snake. All should really help you complete this piece a little bit. Okay, so before, after. And this is an example of small changes. So I'm just going to fuzz out this little cast shadow. And you could bring in some bounce light on this part of the snake. I think it's some kind of lag or something. No idea why it's doing that. Now it's working. Now E is working. So there's that bounce light there. Just to reveal some more of the snake because it's so close against. But because I don't have access to these layers, I would put in, I can't do it, but I would put in extra darker, closer connected shadows. So darken. So really, really tightly kind of added shadows. Just around here. Just so that they are representing the fact that the snake is touching the painting, whereas here it's lifted up away from the painting. Right? And honestly, that's really it. This is one of the best pieces. We always usually have a piece that keeps it all, and for a children's book and young adult book, kind of stuff like that. I love the style. It's very simplified, and it really does feel like, you know, the way the Harry Potter books were painted like a long time ago, back before things were super realistic and movies and movie version of the books or something like that. Movie release, they always did that. I got the movie release for Fellowship of the Ring. It was just a picture of the Fellowship, the green, blue, and red ones. You guys remember those? But this feels like it's an actual storybook, and I love it. I love this one. It would probably be the one the writer chooses had this been a real situation. So whoever this artist is, you really do have a lot of potential to start working in this field, and that's what these challenges are all about, allowing you to feel what it's like to work in the field. Apart from all the logistics and working with customers and the diplomacy of it all and learning to price your work. And that's not what I'm talking about. If you're not ready for all that, then you're just not. But you can always research how to price your work and how to get your work out there. But for the work aspect, the art aspect, which is what I'm concerned with, the painting process, I think you're more than ready to work with this stuff. So good job. And then this one is really similar to the other ones we've had. It's a little bit dark, and you've got this random texture here, and I think you know what you're doing in building two environments. You've built the environment inside the spotlight, and you've built the environment inside the dark. So what you need to do is just exactly this. Get your pencil out and just start deciding, you know, where everything is. This really the best version you could be doing for the spotlight's actual shape? So you could be doing something that starts small and ends bigger, which is usually what light does. It emanates out, and then you've got this little circle of light that's offset here. You could also like slightly move it so that it touches some of the snake, or it will, and then now you know that this out needs to be a little bit more clean and dark. And then had this been out and dark, and this, what are we using to revive these hidden areas? Well, it would be the bounce light. So we'd have bounce light for these pillars over here, and that would be really easy to reveal these pillars, because the bounce light would just be traveling up in a gradient coming out of the base. Sometimes it's a little bit more like a ray, so you only have one section that's really bright. It just depends on how you want to interpret the stone or the stuff that the pillar is made of. And then over here, we would just be talking about the ambience coming out of these sides. So when you map out where your light source is coming from, which is the ultimate question, where is my light source? Because that is the god of your painting. So where is my light source? When you answer this question, mapping out the composition when it comes to the light should be very easy, because the spotlight is now a prop in your illustration. The spotlight is now what you're doing to fill up the paint. It's just as important as the snake. They were on a scale to be measured in value. The spotlight and the snake would equal in value. They're both part of the painting, and they both help each other. So when you think about mapping light and you're preparing for the painting and the role the light will play, it'll be very, very easy to make decisions later on, especially decisions where, like the ones I do, we're completely blanketing an entire area under shadow fearlessly. So if you have that fear, you gotta get rid of that fear with planning. The best way to get rid of anxiety is with planning. So write that back to me. It's actually a therapeutic thing that people who have anxiety on a daily basis, you know, that's what they do. They just write lists, make lists, they prepare, they have lists. Lists are the best shit ever. Always have lists, y'all. For everything, for not just grocery stores, for the things you'll do today, for the things you'll do tomorrow. If you need some sense of control in your life, lists are the way to go. So we have a nice, clean, more intriguing shape, less generalized shape for the spotlight. I need to just open my map here, and I'm just deleting. Actually, I'll just delete with lasso. So I'll get rid of this, and then that should be a little bit more intriguing. It should be a little bit more interesting, less like a big lump of light and more of a focus thing, which is what we did last time. So filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So make a list of all of the major directions of the light source, and then we use the Gaussian blur. You guys, it's not hard to make a spotlight. I just did it with Gaussian blur. Okay, so now I'm just looking at what's happening with the snake. I like how the snake is coming out of a painting. That's really, really cool that you kept that there. And I'm just going to ease up on the shadow. It feels a little bit dark everywhere else, and so the best thing to start doing when you have a painting like this is to just make sense of the edges. Weak edges means that you don't have a painting. You don't have a painting if you've got weak edges. That's just the truth of it all. Because edges are where other objects start and end, and if you don't have them, then everything is merging together as if the world is melting. And you don't have any common sense between objects. The only thing that we don't have outlines in the real world. The only thing that separates one object from the other is its edge and where it stops and where the other objects start. So because you ran out of time or you got bored of the detailing, you started getting lazy with your edges, and now you've got mush and murk and crap everywhere. Which makes, and then that's why you felt like you need to slap this big, whatever the hell that is, spider web. Right? Look at how nice that is, and we just have, oh, give me one pillar, shit, just give me one basic pillar that has some edge work to it, just so I know what I'm looking at, so I'm not looking at everything as if I just got an eye exam and they dilated my pupils or something. So I'm just bringing in some basic light on the side. Oh, look at that, that was so easy. And why is it easy? Because of form studies. Form studies are why it's easy. All right, and then form studies have told me that cylinders require one really, really simple signifier, which is a soft radiating, like a radially climbed highlighter on the side. That's all a cylinder needs. All right, so I'm going to trust my form studies and that's all they need. All right, there might be a little bit of ambience on this side because I've done form study cubes before. I'm just being really loose with my lasso right now. It's not the best lasso. That's horrible lasso. It's an understatement. Okay. And then, because I don't have time, I'm going to just select. Oh. So we've got the sharpened shadow. So we're just throwing that down. We've got the detail there. We've got the highlighters there. And then you can just imagine how much more complete the painting will be had you just spent a little bit of extra time in between each form study, or each pillar, and treated it as a form study. Okay, and it's the same thing on the other side. You could have just easily, and the point is that it's not easy for you, that's why you didn't do it. And it's not easy for you because you're not putting in the time you need to in order to quantify and pull off a render of a basic cylinder in an environment. To you, that's the... I remember a time when I never did form studies and I was trying to render something like a pillar and I used every excuse not to render it. Oh, I threw a cast shadow that was way too black on one side, and I used like a basic outline, outlined it, and the general brushstrokes here and there. Who does that? Raise your hand. To make it seem like I rendered it and I don't really have edges. Everything was blurred and blended. Everything had a texture overlay while painting. And this is exactly the shit you're doing. Form studies help fill in that empty spot in your brain that doesn't know what to do when it's met with a real part of a painting, the part of a painting that needs to be there. So when I used to paint buildings, same thing. And I did commissions really early in life. I didn't have a lot of money, so I had to start commissions way too early. But that's the shit that I was doing. That's the shit that I was dealing with, is this weird excuse-filled technique where overblending, overblurring, too many shadows, trying to pull off texture overlays, trying to let the texture render for me when all I needed was just a really simple form study core shadow. And then I used to look at these professionals and the way they painted, and I'm like, how do they make it look so simple? How do they know exactly where to put that? How do they know exactly how to render this section? And the reason why they know is because they do form study. Study your cubes, study your cylinders. Those are the big bad shapes. Those are the big ones. I don't know why I'm having this weird noise thing. Are you seeing this, Kyle? What the fuck is going on? I think it's just this horrid texture disease, this weird thing you've got here. Cylinders, cubes, spheres, those are the big ones. And then we move on from there. So you have this strange light that's outside of the composition's focal point, which is the snake in the painting. So I'm gonna get rid of that extra little light. It doesn't need to be that strong. The focal point is here. And so I'm going to contest that because they're overlapping. I'm going to just give this a boost. And then the snake eyes are going to get a boost as well. And the snake edge, also extremely weak. Study cylinders. Look at how much a cylinder would have changed this painting. You had cylinders here, and you had cylinders for the snake. Two massive aspects of this illustration that you just did not know, your brain just did not know what to do. Why is that? It's like, that's the question. That is the question. Why doesn't my brain know what to do when it comes to this shape? Because you haven't even given the brain the information that it's a shape, that it's just a basic shape. That's all it is. It's just a cylinder. Oh no, but it's a snake, so I need to spend time on the scales, right? No, it's just a snake. It's just a cylinder. Meaning that you just need to know where to put the core shadow. Oh, but like, isn't the detail more important than the core shadow? Like, what if the core shadow is hidden by the detail? No, zoom out enough, you'll see a core shadow. The core shadow is the most important thing to expedite. It's the most important thing to do first. And so then, you're stumped and you realize this entire time, everything that you thought you knew about what it takes to make a good painting was wrong. Because you were ignoring the reason why objects exist in the world. That's because of the z-axis, and they take only so many shapes. There's only so much geometric variety in these shapes. You just had to learn the basic building blocks. Is it really just a couple shapes? Nah, there's like weird isosceles, whatever this, and trapezoid this, and this, that, right? No, it's just cylinders and cubes and spheres. And every single time a student, I work with them privately and I give them this lesson, and I just tell them, they ask me this really crazy question about, why aren't I improving? What's the problem? I'm noticing this fuzziness. I don't know where to put the edge you're talking about. I want to, but I don't know where to put it. And then I give them like 50 cylinders to do, and for some reason they don't have these questions next time. These questions just disappear because the cylinder answered the question for them. It provided them with what they were missing, like a vitamin. All right, so though I can't continue painting this entire painting for you, because I'd be here for hours filling in all the missing cylinders, cubes, and spheres in this painting, as well as fixing this depth issue. So for you particularly, this artist here, the New York Times best-selling author in 1996, I love this. This is so cute. I love you guys. So you need to start doing some form studies for cylinders, okay? And not just that. No. You need to start looking at, go to my channel and go do a video search and do search the word depth, so that you can start thinking about what objects in the foreground do and what objects in the background do. And then look up composition and go from there. All right, form studies. Trace over diagrams, those about features, can also help you understand how to trace the mesh over volume-filled geometric objects such as the cylinder. The cylinder is the best shape to hurry up and learn. Write that back to me. The cylinder is the, I don't like you know, over exaggerating just for the dramatic purpose, but the cylinder really is the best shape. It is absolutely everywhere. It is the beautiful marriage between geometric underlining and anatomical and organic padding. It's everywhere. It's on the eyebrow bone, the chin, the nose. It's on the arms, the legs. It's on everything around you. It's on most anatomical or organic stuff, biological, animals, all of that. The cylinder is everywhere. It is the best shape to learn ASAP. All right, thank you. To be honest, I was lazy and rushed it, but I'll work on it. No, you had a good idea. I don't think you did this because you're a lazy person. You joined our our challenge because you're not a lazy person, and you just need a little bit of direction, and I think it's moving in the right direction. Now, I can't give you a complete before and after because I'd just be here for a really long time rendering every single cylinder, but just from looking at this side here, did you see how simple it was to execute the basic cylindrical shape? So it's not that, oh, you're too dumb to do something simple. No, all you got to do is something simple. And if you are out here building an entire illustration, which is a very difficult task, I think managing the basics of a cylinder is going to be a walk in the park for you, because you've already done more than that, right? You've already thrown the ball further than the target. You're more than capable of practicing a little bit to hit the target at a closer range, which is just form studies. All right, and you gave us a learning opportunity as well, just so that everyone can see what it means when you flesh out a painting. You flesh out paintings with form studies. Write that back to me. Any questions so far? Let me look up, see if anyone has any questions. What? Did someone just like come into the to the thing just to call me a homosexual? What? I've heard a lot of shit about me, you know, just because I critique and but being called a homosexual is just a really cool one. I've never heard that one before. God, you're such. No, you hit the desk. Oh, right. I hit the... Was that really loud? I hit the desk a lot. I'm so sorry. Why are you gay? You flesh out paintings with form studies. Beautiful. Homosexual. All right. So let's move on to this one. Oops, I muted everything again. All right. So for this piece, I'm kind of, you know, it's not done. And you do have a really nice spotlight. Y'all just love your spotlight. But let's talk about how to make this into a realistic version of itself. So it's like a really stylized. Remember that artist I showed you guys? The really cool three-dimensional, what's it, 3D modeler. Remember I Am Motea on I'm just trying to pronounce it. I sound like an idiot. But on Instagram, it just seems like his version of this painting, or his version of this. So let me just show you the equivalent. Let me see if I can lasso it. Cool. Kind of lassoed pretty easily. So I've heard that my patience with lasso is terrifying. Is that true? Because I've had to do it for so long. So you guys want to know what you're actually supposed to be doing in a scene like this? Bam! That's how important my environment is. Okay? one simple color, and then we can also color balance. So one simple color on darken and one simple color on color mode. Select inverse, delete. Obviously low opacity on either. All right, so the reason why we do this is because we're trying to show that these little bars of light or windows are the only thing that's casting light in this scene as primary light number one. All right, so I will show you the other layer. And then out of this light comes the bloom. So we're gonna have, you have to have courage like this to make sweeping, not just corrections, but to make these decisions for your illustration. You have to think like this as well. Oops. Okay. So which one would be color dodge? Looks okay. All right. So that's step one, is that the room is dark to begin with and we've got two little lights available. And then we have all these extra little conditions. So we're gonna merge this down, select the whole thing, go back to ground zero. All right, and then decide what on earth is happening with that spotlight. Again, is this really the best shape? Should the spotlight be really that close to the corner the way you drew it? So, no. So I'm going to enlarge this so that the spotlight ends a little bit sooner than that. And so that the spotlight is inside the frames, not nearing it. Even then, it's still not good enough. And then if you guys have watched both critique hours, you saw the method for making a cast shadow or a spotlight, which is, first of all, I don't know why the spotlight is inside the frame. It's, again, a window, not a painting, so you've got it wrong here. But you did this little, let's take a moment, you did this little, look at that. You did this little shadow from the bottom of the top frame, the top frame casting a shadow on the inside. This is the glorious moment of your painting right here. Just the way that you figured this out. And you can do this everywhere else as well in your life. You can do this in every other painting that you paint. There's no reason why you can't. But it's in you, because you figured it out. You figured out this little section. And you can continue to do that. Let me just clean up my lasso. All right, so now that we've got that, now it's very easy, as you guys have seen me do. We just have to blur in order to add the spotlight. And then once the spotlight is in, it's very, very easy after that point to just decide what is getting the light and what's getting the warm colors. Because remember, we balanced everything based off of that. So I'm going to do a little hat trick here. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I'm not blurring for the painting. I'm blurring for just that spotlight dirt mess that we had. See what I'm doing? So I'm keeping everything else except this business that you had going on here. Oh, no, I didn't do that. Okay, so now that's out of my life. I'm going to finally bring in the light for the spotlight. And this is a nice spotlight. It's kind of off center. It's enough to give us the bounce light we need for the snake. It's still not good enough, so I might not let it travel too low. So I might do just that. And then bringing in our yellow, white. Just smack that right in there. Lower that opacity. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And then start deleting. So the light gets weaker the further it gets. This way I can start seeing under. And now you've got this amazing chance to show the subsurface of the leaves and then everything else that's hidden in the scene. So we've got, let's see how we layer by layer deconstruct the requirements. So we've got light up here, over here. This is just really, really simple slapstick kind of application based off my knowledge of form studies. All right, so it's just placeholders right now just so that you can see how much volume we're getting. So all these leaves here, because there's so much light in this area, we can start reverting back to your original color choices, but only in the areas revealed by the light. So we can start highlights. Saturating. So let me just saturate first because dodge tool isn't picking anything up. Unless I was using. No, now I'm on burn. What is going on? Sponge, saturate. There we go. So all these little areas get so much green. They're directly in the light. The top of this frame gets some of that light as well. My brush was too big. Sorry, give me a second. So if you've never seen a painting getting fleshed out, you're watching it right now. And how, again, is this painting getting fleshed out? I'm going to bring this light source in and reveal this side with this pale white. And I'm going to make it a little bit hotter, meaning more brightness, the closer it gets to that window. And just a little bit on this side. How again am I fleshing this out? Based off what? What? All right, and then we've got, I'm going to try to select. Ooh, mama, that's just the best lasso I've ever seen. God damn. All right, so I'm gonna try not to fuck this up. All right, so this is a good day. All right, and then nope. So yeah, we just gotta take what we're given. Light reveals the form. Form studies, exactly. That's how I'm fleshing this out. Form studies. Step 1 of form study is what? What is it? Step 1 of form studies is, you know when Hulk Hogan does that thing with his ear? That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm choosing a cooler value and fucking it up. I'm just gonna choose the black. And that would be the silhouette. I don't like where you placed stuff. I'm not a fan of it, but this is the rule, is that when there's an object in front of the light, it gets dark. So where I would place some stuff, and this is just one really, really empty room, I would start just, you know, deciding on better shapes for the foliage, all that overgrowth. And then the leaves that I've been drawing for a week. God damn, I'm so sick of this fucking light. Really get some references, y'all. I'm not a big fan of the vines, but just so we have some more. And then this leaf here is getting some of that light. Light source, excellent. So what does light source mean when I make the whole room dark? What does me dropping a bunch of shadow in front of everything mean for the light source? And then I'm just gonna exaggerate some of this. It's just too strong. I'm not a big fan of using levels, but sometimes it works. Okay, and then the snake obviously is too visible. So radially shading the cylinder, something I learned out of form studies. Brushstroke number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm shrinking my brush as I render it. Yet another thing you benefit from form studies, sorry I hid the snake's face, is efficient technique. And then as the snake falls into the painting, or the frame, whatever, it starts to disappear. The snake should be part of the painting, but it is what it is. All right, so let me just flatten and just call it a day. All right, so on the ground here, we need to see some things that going out you need to think about as you're painting this for homework or finishing this, is you need to make sure that, I'm just gonna do it now, make sure that the ground is responding to this light source. And then you have zero perspective on the ground, by the way, it's just flat, needs to be projecting out. All right, so we're darkening this side. The framing is wrong because you have all this empty space in the lower third of the painting. This whole section my brush is on is absolutely empty. Bad. And then you've got the snake not really following the narrative, so make sure you try to get that done. So fill this up, basically. You framed it, you put the camera right on this, and it's empty. Fill it up. And then you've got cool little stuff that you could do, like, for instance, the reflection of the snake on the tiles beneath. And then you could throw in some more foliage. Right, so some foliage would be just, you know, clustered everywhere, I think would be really cool. And we're barely seeing the snake emerge. There's no girl. You could have really filled the scene if there was like a girl right here. If you just, you know, just did something for the sake of the narrative. Just, you know, a character kind of like, what the hell? Staring at the snake coming out of the painting like it's nobody's business. I mean, obviously it can't be black against black because we can't see anything, but you could bring in some extra ambient light moving in from the bottom. Basically just revealing her. Revealing this character, meaning that we can see her dress, we can see her hair, so that we can see the snake emerge. And then you can really feel how much it's lacking because there's just nothing happening in the square within the square. You could have just given us something to work with for the stuff inside the painting. So yeah, you have to double paint, but you know, because you have to paint the painting and then the painting itself. And then you could have, of course, you can see how now I'm comfortably critiquing, whereas before I was reconstructing, which is too much work at the same time. Now the snake could be emerging from its two-dimensional version. I like how it changed the I like how it kind of threw the frame off its hinges or off its stuff. That was really cool because it's kind of just too heavy, so it pulled the frame down. That's a really cool detail I even forgot about. Okay. And then there's the fact that stuff in the foreground is blurred. If you don't know why stuff gets blurred in the foreground, you need to watch some of my videos and I talk about it. So select, paste, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. This is exactly how much we need. I just a touch less. So I'm blurring, I know I'm blurring everything. Give me a second. I'm blurring the foreground for that. Cinematic blur, and then deleting where I need to see. Okay, so it's moving, it's going in the right direction now. And if you want to bring in other colors, you could just keep, let me just show you really quickly how beneficial that is. That green that you've got there, I'm going to, could be just the only other color we have in this scene. Actually, I'm just going to swatch it in just so that it's not a mess. Let's just get a nice green that matches, and it could just be tons and tons of this green. And that really fills the painting a lot. And then the other color you could have is the gold of the snake. And that way you have two really nice, beautiful colors, prominent colors that can wake up that dullness that you're noticing. Remember, the snake is only yellow in the side that faces the light source. It's a bit of a mess right now. Okay? So good luck with all your work. I am very proud of all of you guys. You guys got some work to do and a lot of corrections. I can't really critique this one apart from the cast shadow of the snake. You can still throw the spotlight through. The snake is only casting a shadow. The spotlight can still sit on top of the snake. And then why not just throw the spotlight above so you don't have this weird zigzagging problem. But yeah, this is very two-dimensional. What I recommend when scenes like this occur is to darken the background and blur it so that the foreground is important. But you've also shaded it as if there's a there's a light source, so why not just go for it? You could also darken the foreground and lighten the background. The background being the environment and this being that silhouette in the foreground, depth applied. But you guys have a lot of work left to do with your form studies. And I can just show you really quickly what you were doing before. Zero environment. And again, why do we darken the scene? Because it means that we are respecting the light environment. We have darkened the scene because there's not a lot of light in the scene. Okay? That's why we darken it. You lit up the scene as if 17 surgical lamps were pointed at the snake. Before, after. Darken the scene so that we were actually in this dark room where there is no light. Okay, thank you everyone for coming today. If you guys enjoyed this class, from everything from the politics and the rant all the way to the after, and you want to show some support, you can through Patreon. Even if you join just as $1, if you're sending support my way, it's much appreciated. We're trying to stay independent, and I think independent is the best thing we could be doing right now, considering how many channels are being affected by these changes and opinions, and how opinions should be adjusted for your audience to make max capital. And I'm not about that life, because I'm really here to teach you guys what I know before I die, and give my advice. So if you want to support, you may, and to keep us independent as long as possible, forever. If you want to join and submit your work for critique, we're back to business as usual on Thursday. On Tuesday, I'll just be looking at work from the Critique Hour Reddit. But on Critique Hour from Reddit, there isn't much of a challenge until the 31st of October, or basically the 3rd of November or the 29th, which is the due date, Thursday the 29th or Tuesday the 27th, or both, depending on the volume of submissions. I'll be looking at your October Creature Design Challenge. I'll upload the brief soon on Reddit, but if you guys want to submit your work for Critique Hour, just basic critique hours, you guys have got 6 left, 6 critique hours, this month for just basic stuff, fundamentals, before we do the 27th and the 29th for the challenges. You can do that by joining Reddit. Both can be done by joining Reddit. All right. It's been a long ass week. You can tell. I think that's it for announcements. Thank you everyone for coming. I know I haven't uploaded part 1. I will upload it before I upload part 2. It's all rendered and ready. I just have not had time to upload. That's how busy I've been. Anyway, bye guys.